evening. Welcome to the January 16th, 2024 council meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Hund.
Here.
Councilman Mazzarella. Absent. Councilman Minetti.
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Toll.
Here.
Council President Albanese.
Here. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, as adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing the annual schedule of meetings to the Star-Ledger, Union County Hawk, Union County Local Source, and Tappan to Clark, by posting such annual meeting schedule on the bulletin board and town hall reserved for such announcements, the official website of the township, and the proper filing of said notice. Formal action may be taken at this meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, we'll move on to reports from township officers. Any report, Mr. Ulrich? Okay. In that case, we will move on to report of council committees. We'll start with Councilman Steve Hund, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I have the Clark Police Department monthly report for December 2023, where we saw a total of 2,626 calls for services, including but not limited to 1 for Arrive mental health requests, 114 ambulance requests, 6 fire department requests, 3 criminal mischief, 3 motor vehicle and residential lockouts, 83 alarm calls, 103 calls, motor vehicle accidents, 24 shoplifting and theft, 15 fraud, identity theft, 218 were 911 calls, and 1,886 were miscellaneous calls. There was a total of 14 adult arrests, including but not limited to 8 for shoplifting, 2 for DUI, and 1 for criminal mischief. The Youth Bureau handled a total of 13 cases, including but not limited to 2 for harassment, 1 for offenses against the family, and 1 for terroristic threats. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Hund. Councilman Minetti?
Thank you, Madam President. In the month of December, the Clark Fire Department responded to 48 calls, totaling 536 for the year. The calls included, but are not limited to, numerous odors and alarm calls, 5 calls related to flooding from our last storm, and 5 calls related to motor vehicle incidents and assistance on the Garden State Parkway. I just want to remind the residents that if you have a fire hydrant in front of your home, you can help the Clark Fire Department by clearing the snow after a snowstorm. This will make it much easier for the department in case of an emergency. As always, I'd like to thank the members of the Clark Fire Department for their hard work and dedication in keeping our town safe. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Minetti. Councilman O'Connor?
Thank you. From the Finance Committee, we've received the revenues today and the schedule to introduce the budget on February 20th. And from the Clark Volunteer Emergency Squad, I had the privilege again this past Sunday to swear in the new officers for the Clark Volunteer Emergency Squad, and I'm going to tell you who they are for 2024. President is J.H. Barr. Vice President is Charlie Poisik Sr. Treasurer is David Newby. Recording Secretary, Charlie Poisik Jr. The Secretary is Sue Alachi. 3-year Trustee, Lori Sheldon. Captain, Katie Sheldon. Assistant Captain, Kayla Concalves. First Lieutenant, Christopher Jimenez. Second Lieutenant, Matthew Muldoon. And sergeants are Michael Hajowski, Kat Collin, and Cody Downing. Again, congratulations to the officers. And not only do they spend time on the rigs, but also with the administration. So it takes an extra amount of time. So thank you for that. So the on-call volume is as follows. There were 102 calls in the month of December, with 2 mutual aid calls. Of course, this does not include any calls that were dispatched and canceled. Total hours responding to calls is approximately 765 man-hours. This does not include any hours that members are on duty and not on calls. And year-to-date call volume for 2023 1,290. Membership, for those who would like to assist the squad but may not have time to do EMT training, we're accepting applications for people who are interested in becoming drivers for the ambulance. Must be 18 years of age with a clean driving record. The squad will be reaching out to rising juniors at local high schools for their cadet program. Anyone interested can email the squad at membership@clarkems.org. And of course, they continue to service the community. The squad hosted 2 blood drives in December and is looking to expand the number each month as needed. The need for blood is increasing. Please watch for the information at the squad and on social media for exact dates, or contact North Jersey Blood Center for information, and submitted by Lori Sheldon, trustee. That concludes my reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor. Councilman Smith?
Thank you. The indoor soccer and recreation programs are in full swing. All winter classes are starting this week, and you can still register if you're interested. If you're interested in any of these programs that the rec department offers, you can stop by the recreation department or contact Ralph Bernardo at rbernardo@ourclark.com, or you can call Emily or Ralph at 732-428-8400. And also, all information is available on the ourclark.com website under the Recreation tab. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Councilman Toll.
Thank you, Madam President. From the Environmental Commission, the Environmental Commission will be holding its annual reorganization meeting on Wednesday, January the 17th, in room 30, the History Room at Brewer at 7:30. All interested in joining and participating in setting the agenda for the Environmental Commission for the Township of Clark this coming year. Many different ideas will be discussed, but if you have a moment, you want to come in and join us and just put your thoughts together, we'd love to hear from you. Again, this is a community of openness, and we work together to make a better Clark. Thank you, Madam President, for your time.
Thank you, Councilman Toll. I'd like to give the library report provided by our Library Director, Megan Kolochik. In December, we had over 6,000 visitors to the library and had almost 6,100 website visits. I'd just like to, excuse me. Yes.
Ordinances and appropriations, I came in late. Are you up to there yet?
We're going over council reports on committees.
All right, after that will be the next one, right? Okay.
If you can. Okay, so I'd like to continue with the library report provided by our director, but I'd also like to remind you that the Friends of the Library, through generous donations, has donated various museum passes, which are available, for indoor activities to do during these winter months. So please take advantage of that, and also consider joining the Friends of the Library, who support a lot of the programs and make a lot of contributions to our library. Upcoming events, I'll mention a few. We have a very active Teen Advisory Board. They'll be meeting on Thursday, February 1st at 7 p.m., and they will run and plan different team programs. So we're very excited about the students involved in the 6th through 12th grade. There will be a program, Teen Stressless Neon Emoji Paintings. That'll be next Thursday, January 25th at 7 p.m. They'll be creating neon emoji paintings in a pop art style, and that program is for 6th through 12th grade. Crafty Kids program for children in kindergarten through 5th grade will be held on Wednesday, February 7th, and that's at 3:30 p.m. And then we're going to have a performer reenact an evening with Martha Washington. This is open to all ages. This actress, Elisa Dupuy, has portrayed many different positions and reenacted a lot of different events that have occurred, such as the Titanic, etc. That program will be held on Thursday, February 8th, 7 p.m. And finally, a program on the Underground Railroad in New Jersey on Thursday, February 20th at 7 p.m. And that will talk about, obviously, New Jersey and its vital role in the Underground Railroad. And that concludes my report on the library. I would like to mention at this time since we are in the new year, and I want to express my sincere thanks to Elizabeth Klee, our Director of Communications and Business Development, who's here this evening. The resident guide to the Township of Clark for 2024 is now available online, and this is what it looks like, if you can see that. And if you're new to town, this resident guide, or even if you're a lifelong resident, this will give you information on how to stay connected with Clark, all the contact information for all of us up here and other departments within the township, meeting dates, and dates of township events, all the free services provided by the Public Works Department, tax information on how to pay taxes and benefits available, and recreation and senior citizen information. We had talked at our last meeting about when there's a snow occurrence that you shouldn't park on certain streets. We've had different instances where there's flooding and we have parking available at the township. In this resident guide, you'll find out which streets not to park on when there's a snowstorm, and then all the other information that I mentioned, and you can also download this. I think it's important to note, if you can access this online and you're looking up an event date, please note the dates sometimes do change, so it's always better to get the most recent information by looking up the information on the guide or on the website. We did have some changes this year and people missed events, so we don't want that to happen, but sometimes due to weather or timing, it does happen. So you can download a copy onto your phone, download a copy onto your home, and have those dates available. So again, thank you, Elizabeth. And that concludes all our council reports, so we're going to move on to the agenda. At this time, I'd like to, we're going to go on to ordinances, appropriations, and claims, and the public hearing on proposed ordinances that were introduced at the last meeting. So, Madam Clerk, would you read the ordinance?
Thank you, Madam President. For the record, no objections have been received in connection with the proposed ordinances. First ordinance is 24-01, an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to Fix Minimum and Maximum Salaries."
So at this time, I'd like to open up the meeting for a public hearing on this ordinance. If you're interested in speaking, come forward, state your name for the clerk and your address.
Good evening, my name is William Caruso. I live at 7 School Street in Clark. I have a few questions. These are really points of information, okay? Since it isn't outlined here concerning the ordinances of fixed and minimum salaries, are we talking about all the township employees' increases? Who's the chairman of the finance committee above the council?
And microphone. Just the mic.
Of all township employees? Yes. All right. I have some questions because I realize that a lot of people in this town probably don't pursue it or know about it. Could you please tell me what the mayor's current salary is? I cannot tell you that off the top of my head. You'll have to speak louder. I'm trying to hear you.
I cannot tell you the exact salary of the mayor. I do not have that with me at this point in time.
Is he covered under this?
Yes.
Oh, he is, and you don't know his salary?
I do not remember the exact amount, and I would not want to give
Well,
you
give me a
misinformation.
for instance. Give me
Mr.
a for
Caruso, I'm
instance.
speaking. When I speak, I'll speak. When you speak, I'll let you speak.
Okay.
Okay? Fair enough?
Yeah.
So
He's a
if you want that information, we can get that to you.
He's a
Okay.
part-time mayor. Isn't there anyone on the council who knows what the mayor's salary?
You're supposed to address me, and I'm telling you, no one here is going to have that exact number.
Be polite, just say I don't know. How about you,
I
Ms.?
already told you, you address the council president. You know this very well, Mr. Caruso, from being a council president and being a member of this council for many, many years. You know the protocol.
You tell me what your salary is, ma'am?
I do not know the exact amount to the penny, which I wouldn't want to give you misinformation without giving, I'm sure you want the exact amount.
Are you telling me that I'm trying to get misinformation from you?
No, I said I wouldn't want to misinform you, that I would want to give you the exact amount.
Well, you don't know the exact amount. Can you tell me approximately? As a taxpayer, I should at least know.
I'm not going to engage in this. Make your statement, and then we'll answer your questions.
It's a part-time position, right? Yeah. You should know, because you served many years up there. Don't double-talk me. How about if I ask the business administrator, would he
You have to
know?
address the council as a body.
What's that?
You must address the council as a body. I don't want to be disrespectful, but you asked me to speak loudly to you.
All right. I'll
Can you
ask
hear me
another
now?
question. Is this covered under the police contract? The negotiated police contract. Is this cover the police chief and the lieutenant that's involved in that scandal? Could you tell me that?
Yes.
They are covered.
Yes, it's in the ordinance.
All right, well, here they are, 3
Do
years.
you have any questions on the ordinance?
We're going on 3 years. It was in all the newspapers. The mayor was advised to fire the both of them. Could you please advise me why you or no one in this town has asked them to terminate them?
This is not related, your statement is not related, in question is not related to the ordinance. Do you have questions on this ordinance?
Trying to...
Your time is coming up to 5
trying to
minutes.
evade these questions is not going to let the taxpayers, you're not going to look good. You're not going to look good. I'm asking you common information that
Your
any
time is up.
taxpayer in
Mr.
town would
Caruso,
like
your
to
time is up. You can come back later during the open session.
I'm asking you the question, why have...
Mr. Caruso, please stop at this point. You can continue later on in the meeting.
Angel, I know you're doing your best to try to...
Mr. Caruso, this is the last time I'm going to ask you.
Please, do...
Please sit down and come back up when your time is available.
I assure you, I did not come up to harass anybody.
I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that your time is up. You
What?
spent your time, your 5 minutes
There's
is
no
up.
time. I read the Faulkner Act here. There's no time in this position. There's a time when public people talk later. You show me. I have the Faulkner Act right here. Show me where it is. I'm anxious to see it. And that's another thing. Shame on you. There's nothing in the Faulkner Act that says you can reduce the time. Don't ask the attorney. He's involved in half of the crap that's going on up here.
You're going to have to sit down.
Huh?
You have to sit down, and you can come back up later.
Why do I have to sit down? I'm
The
asking,
5 minutes is up.
you know what?
Anyway, regardless, you haven't been discussing the
You are
main...
dividing me. You
I opened up the session for comments on the ordinance. You have
the
not
right to
given
comment
any
on the
comments
ordinance.
on the ordinance.
I want to know
You
the
asked-
amounts that these people are getting increases. Can you tell me that?
I'm going to have the officer have you either sit down now or leave the meeting.
This is why nobody comes to meetings, because you people don't want to be upfront with the public. Tell them what the mayor's...
Mr. Caruso,
the business mayor...
officer, please,
You don't want to do it. Shame on you. You better not run again. I'm going to tell you. When you start talking like...
please
this,
do
you're
not
part of
threaten
the
me.
conspiracy.
Please do not threaten me.
Why should I be offended? She's offending me.
Have a seat.
I'm a taxpayer.
Have a
She-
seat, thank you. Have a seat.
Yeah, thank you. Nothing but harassment in this town. They won't let the public speak. Let the mayor talk for 45 minutes. He's only a guest at the meeting.
That's all this.
Mr. Caruso, Mr. Caruso, Mr. Caruso, please do not speak when other people have an opportunity to speak.
Daniel
Go ahead.
Fuchs, 333 Carolina. It is true, the mayor does get untimed. Anyway, do you have, is it a percentage, is everyone getting the same percentage of the increase? How does that work?
This is nothing to do with the ordinance.
So then what, can you explain the ordinance?
Asking about the ordinance setting salaries?
Yeah.
Okay, that is, it just sets a range. It sets only a range of salaries. It can't be below the low number, and it can't be above the high number. It does not mean that the employee gets the low number or the high number. It has to fall within that. It's not determining a specific employee's salary. It's just, it confines, candidly, the council from giving somebody a raise that exceeds the maximum or that is below the minimum. That's all it does.
So everyone fits in, sort of like I don't know if it's a grade or a step, whatever, and like the bottom is being lifted and the top is being raised and.
I have no idea whether it was lifted or,
Just
yeah.
asking, I'm
No,
not-
there are,
Yeah.
we have certain employees in the township
Yeah.
that are under union contracts. This is for non-union employees,
Oh, okay, all right,
okay?
thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else who wishes to come forward on the ordinance? Thank you.
Nancy
Hi.
Koskas, 43 Colonial Drive. So maybe I'll ask the obvious question. What is the new minimum and the new maximum?
For which position?
Well, what the 2401 ordinance is referring to, entitled "An Ordinance to Fix Minimum and Maximum Salaries." So what are the minimum?
Yeah. There's a list of all the employees that it covers,
Oh, all right.
okay?
I was just,
And this information is readily available to all.
oh, all right. Well, we don't get to see this. So each position has a minimum and a maximum. is what
And
you're
I
saying.
just want to be
Right, it's
clear
on the website.
to the citizens and to you, the agenda is set and published. These ordinances were introduced at the last meeting. There was ample time for any citizen, anyone, to go, get the ordinance, read it, ask questions, and then you're still welcome to come here tonight and ask questions.
Okay, well,
Very happy to have that.
All right.
But in order to assist, so that we're not having a discussion of what the items are, what it's about, it is better to plan ahead, just like we do. And if you have an ordinance of interest that's published, then you can always get it and get the information and get answers to your questions.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'd like to have a motion to close this section of the meeting. Thank you, Councilman Hahn. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. At this time, I'd like a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'd like to move that, please.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor. Do I have a second? I'll second that. Thank you, Councilman Minetti. Any discussion, council? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll when you're ready?
Councilman Hund.
Yes.
Councilman Minetti.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Toll.
Yes.
Council President Albanese.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted. I would also like to say before the next ordinance that once the ordinances are introduced, they are published in full in the Union County Hawk, as well as put up on the website. And you can also always email me, and I would be happy to send it to you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Second ordinance is 24-02, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up the meeting for a public hearing.
Okay. It says an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget. Why are you exceeding the municipal budget? Can you tell us?
This resolution, this ordinance enables the council to enable the township to have a cap bank. What this means is that legislatively, we are permitted to increase our budget by 2.5%. That's the cost of living amount that was awarded for the 2024 year budget. In some years, it's 0.5%. In this year, it's 2.5%. The Department of Community Affairs, DLGS, permits townships to set aside or enable a cap bank to be set aside. If they need more money in 1 year for a budget, they can use it. If not, if they're below the cap, they can keep that money for 2 years and use that in case they have an anomaly that occurs. Last year, we had an anomaly with our health care costs and gasoline. So we could use the bank if we needed to. That is what this enables us to do. And also in the township budget, which is on the website, all this information is available about how much of the cap bank has been used in the past few years, for all the years. All the years' budgets are up there.
You get 5 minutes?
And then how much
Is that 5
can be set
minutes?
aside. I'm answering your question.
Did you talk more than 5 minutes? I was timing you. Oh, okay. Incidentally, point of order to the...
Do you have a question?
You're only to advise the council about legal issues. You're not advise them about their appropriations. Do you understand that, Mr.
Excuse me, Mr. Caruso.
I'd like to know how much
Mr.
you're
Caruso.
making from this town.
Mr. Caruso,
Yes.
is to direct the council as a body. Do not have sidebar conversations with people up here on the dais.
Madam President, I'm only trying to find out if...
You brought up the
councilmen here
Faulkner
are
Act.
knowledgeable about their jobs, if they know what they're making, they know what other people are making. I don't think so. I don't think so, because you're trying to cover them up.
This is about the cap
Yes,
bank.
you are.
Thank you, Councilman.
You are. You know. Don't worry.
Okay.
Mr. Mazzarella, if he was here, he would know.
We have a certain decorum here, and we have rules of order. We follow Robert's rules. So when you come up, Mr. Caruso, please make sure you're addressing the issue that's on the agenda. At this time, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing. Thank you, Councilman Benetti. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Hund. Okay, at this time, I'd like a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor.
Second that?
Thank you, Councilman Hund. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, can we have a roll call?
Councilman Hund.
Yes.
Councilman Minetti.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Toll.
Yes.
Council President Albanese.
Yes.
Next ordinance is 24-03, an ordinance to amend Chapter 76, Section 76-9D of the Code of the Township of Clark, entitled License Fees, Maximum Number.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open this ordinance up to a public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to come forward regarding the ordinance on these license fees? Seeing no one, I'd like a motion to close this portion of the meeting. Thank you, Councilman O'Connor. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. At this time, I'd like a motion to adopt the ordinance.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Hund. Any discussion? No? Madam Clerk, you can call the roll.
Councilman Hund.
Yes.
Councilman Minetti.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Toll.
Yes.
Council President Albanese.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted.
Thank you. This time, we're going to move on to the payment of claims, and Mr. Councilman O'Connor will give his report.
Yes, I have reviewed the bills for the month totaling $364,113.16.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to citizens' hearing on agenda items. If there is anyone who would like to address the council, please come up, give your name and address to the clerk, and address all your comments to the council as a body. Your time limit shall not exceed 5 minutes in duration. Is there anyone wishing to come forward? Seeing no one, I'll like a motion to close this portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor. Thank you, Councilman Hund. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on to the agenda items, the resolutions. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam President. First resolution is authorizing transfers of 2023 appropriation reserves.
Council, do I have a motion?
I'll move that.
Okay, thank you, Councilman O'Connor. Second by Councilman Hund. Any discussion? Roll call, Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Councilman Hund.
Yes.
Councilman Manitti.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Toll.
Yes.
Council President Albanese.
Yes.
Thank you. The next resolution is authorizing the tax collector to refund overpayment of sewer fees in the amount of $184.34.
Council, do I have a motion?
I'll move that.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilman Manitti. I think this is pretty straightforward. Do I have a roll call, please? Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Councilman Hund.
Yes.
Councilman Manitti.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Toll.
Yes.
Council President Albanese.
Yes.
Number 6 is appointing Dennis Cisco as a member of the Clark Fire Department.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Councilman Manitti. Do I have a second? Councilman Hund, thank you. I think, well, unfortunately, we can't do an entire council tonight because we're missing Councilman Mazzarella, but I think it's fair to say that we're very appreciative and thankful to have Dennis Cisco join the volunteer fire department. On behalf of the council, we thank you and wish you the best of luck in that position. Do you have a motion?
No, we have.
I'm sorry.
Just need the roll call.
Roll call. Thank you.
Councilman Hund.
Yes.
Councilman Manitti.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Toll.
Yes.
Council President Albanese. Number 7 is urging state lawmakers to adopt Assembly Bill 4536, Senate Bill 304, which would establish minimum registered professional nurse staffing standards for hospitals and ambulatory surgery facilities and certain DHS facilities.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Councilman Hund. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. For those of you who tuned in or watched or were present at the last meeting, at the reorganization meeting, we had the various nurse representatives here discussing the importance of this bill and the staffing requirements that should be maintained in various service facilities. So this is what we're urging our state senator and our assembly representatives to pass this legislation. Okay. Do you have a motion?
We have
No, sorry, did it again with discussion. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Councilman Hund.
Yes.
Councilman Manitti.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Toll.
Yes.
Council President Albanese.
Yes. Madam Clerk, do we have any new business on the calendar?
There is no new business.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to open up the meeting to public comments. I'll repeat the statement that each person has to address the council as a body, state your name and address to the clerk, and your comments shall not exceed 5 minutes in duration.
My name is William Caruso. I live at 7 School Street, Clark. First thing I'd like to know, why did you reduce the speaking time to 5 minutes?
I'll give you your 5 minutes, and then we'll answer your questions.
For 58 years, it's been 10 or 15 minutes. You do this to shut the public up so they can't talk and express their desires or ask questions of the council. Shame on you. You should have never reduced it to 5 minutes. And then you let the mayor talk for 35 minutes and condemn the people. That's why people don't come here. I meet people every day at the supermarket. They tell me, I want you to go to a council meeting. I'm not going to go there and be harassed or bullied by the mayor. You should have fired the police lieutenant and the captain or the chief or whatever he is by now. Everybody in the state told you you had to do it, and you're still not doing it. You're covering up for him. Another thing, I watched the planning board meeting. The mayor is on the planning board, and then he tips off the planning guys, yeah, go ahead and approve the traffic nightmare on School Street, which I live on, and there are many children there that are going to be risking their lives because a lot of people are going to want to shoot around the corner, come down School Street, and beat the traffic light. But you know what? The mayor says, well, I'm supporting that. You should throw him off and let somebody else be on the planning board that cares about Clark. I went here, at one time I talked about a traffic impact study. Even where the mayor lives, where the old Dirtcha Club is, there are cars racing up the street and people call me from the schools and say, why can't we do something to stop that traffic? You're going to kill children. No, you don't hear about it because he don't want you to hear about it. And another thing I want to make a comment about. Every black elected official in this town never called that guy and said, oh, we know you, Sal, you're wonderful. He thought they were going to give him a testimonial dinner for what he had to say about them. That's a disgrace. I don't know how he even makes a comment like that. And the other thing he said he's willing to meet with anybody. If I went to town hall and knocked on a door, he'd have the police try to throw me out because he doesn't want to talk to me. He doesn't want to say anything to me. But I tell him, I invite him to come to the senior club next month, me and him, one-on-one. And you know, I know a lot more stuff that's coming out in the newspapers that you don't know about. That lawyer won't tell you about it. Believe me. The guys that are up there, you better not thinking about running again. It's going to be very, very cloudy. It's going to be very dirty. Okay? That's all I got to say for tonight. But as the year goes on, one final thing before I run out of time. I put an article in the paper about term limits. I don't believe any of you people should be up there for 18 years, 15 years, 17 years. It's not a lifetime career. You got to get out and let the young people in this town, after 20 years, get a chance to serve their community. This is ridiculous. And the mayor's 24 years in. What is it going to be, a lifetime career? This guy's getting worse than Donald Trump. He might as well wear his mega hat to the meetings. It's getting to be disgusting. I tell you, you're going to regret every time I come up here because I'm going to have more information, more dirt that's going on that you don't even know about yet. Watch the newspapers. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Nancy Twaskis, 43 Colonial Drive. I want to thank Mr. Ehrlich for getting back to me so quickly after the last meeting when I asked about the donation fund that I had collected for at the Unico Festival a couple of years ago regarding the cat TNR. Got back to me very quickly, and it was very complete, so I was comfortable in seeing that the money that was collected was being used. At the same time, he mentioned about, or actually I looked into to see in the resident guide, which he said was just being updated, and I made a suggestion in the resident guide to let people to know about this fund in case they did have strays in the yard but feel they're not responsible for paying for the strays in the yard, to have them spayed and neutered, that there is a fund in the town. And I would like to read from the resident guide the wording that was put in, which I thought was really very good. TNR services are provided through the generous donations of community members. If you would like to donate to help minimize our cat population, please send a check payable to the Township of Clark and put Animal Trust Account in the memo section. So I really appreciate that. And also, if anybody would want to donate to it or pay to have the animals spayed or neutered, that's another option. You don't have to withdraw from the fund. It keeps the fund. It's better to have the money in the fund for those that really, really can't afford to pay or don't feel they're really obligated to pay for strays. So thank you very much. And the second thing, I'm new to this. This is like a year and a half I've been coming. I never really paid attention to anything going on in town before. Maybe that's wrong. My parents lived in town my whole life, and they never ran down to look at meetings. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing when I come up here sometimes, and maybe I'm not prepared because I don't really know how to prepare. So thank you for, instructing me, and I thank the clerk for showing me the information that was kind of answered the question I was asking. So thank you.
Thank you. And we appreciate your attendance. I did think of you when I saw that today in the guide, when I was going through it. There is a whole section here in the guide on what was just mentioned regarding the cats and the donations that can be made. So thank you very much for that. And, yeah, we do welcome your attendance here and appreciate your questions and comments. Is there anyone else who wants to come forward? Mr. Fuchs?
333 Carolina. I kind of want to echo a couple things that Mr. Caruso said. I did miss the last meeting, and Sal was finally present. I don't really appreciate, he goes on and on at the end of his rants, talking about how people shouldn't hide behind Facebook or hide behind this podium. First of all, I see him on Facebook arguing with people. It's very silly that he would call other people out for doing that. But the podium, this is exactly, as we were just talking, where we should be to address our concerns, give our opinions, good, bad, whatever, to our government. Sal thinks that this podium is not the place for it. He even mentioned doing this in the Quick Check parking lot. Certainly not afraid of doing something like that. Happy to talk with anyone anytime, but I cannot tell you how disgusting the behavior continues to be from Sal, and I wish he was here so I can address him. And I'm happy to tell him this anywhere. Now, Mr. O'Connor, you were kind enough to meet with me last meeting, and I really appreciate that. 5-10 minutes, just listening, that's fine, that's something. Not threatening, not intimidating, that's what we hear, why we come up to these meetings and speak. Sal is threatening and intimidating and tries to intimidate people by talking about having these conversations in a Quick Check parking lot. He is a racist, he is a bigot. I don't use these words to make fun of him or name call. It's based on his behavior and the things he said. So again, I'm sure he'll catch this meeting. Happy to have the conversation with him here, lobby, his office, Quick Check parking lot, whatever he wants. I also wanted to say how he talks about how this is very political. This is not political. I could care if everyone just shifted over a seat for all I care. He has got to go. He is the reason our taxes keep going up and we have the reputation we have. Everyone's Republican. I don't care who moves over and sits there right now. It's him. So the fact that he hides behind this, this is only political. I moved to this town, and I knew everyone was Republican. I don't even really care that much about politics. It's very obvious why I come to these meetings and speak. So if he's not watching, maybe someone can get back to him and say, stop hiding behind this political attack argument. It's ridiculous. Last thing I want to address is the term limits that Mr. Smith, you sort of endorsed at the last meeting. I agree. Certainly not bringing this up because Sal would be well beyond the years, and so are some review. I've always thought this term limits, it's very difficult to knock off an incumbent. When people sit around for a long time, they get comfortable, and we see what happens. Sometimes there's corruption and all the other nefarious behavior. So I certainly support at least a continued conversation with that and see where we can go. Couple terms, politicians should come and go. So I really do, and I'm glad you said that. I really appreciate that, and I hope that conversation continues. Thank you.
Read this about the town.
Okay, so why are we here? That was the question that was raised. We are here to conduct legislative business. That's why the council is meeting. Yes, you can come and express your concerns, but you can also express your concerns at any time, and we want the public to know. Some people don't feel comfortable coming up here and standing here in public in front of a board, and maybe it's not necessary. You can call the business administrator, you can call town hall, call the various department heads. I always encourage people, they'll say, when we're out meeting people, can you do this? I say the best thing for you to do if you want information on a tree to be removed or something like that, call Public Works. If they can't satisfy your questions, if you're not satisfied, then I'm happy to get involved as your legislative representative. But we do try to use the organization that's in place the administration, and the various departments to respond to everyone. And please, you have my phone number, 732-319-0234. If you want to express a concern, please call me. Do we agree on everything? Maybe not, but I hope that I can give you the information that you want, and I'm happy to speak with anyone. You don't have to come to a meeting. This meeting is a legislative meeting. The mayor is an invited guest. He's not required to be here. Second question, why is the mayor on the planning board? By our ordinances, which are available online, the mayor is required to be a Class 1 representative on the planning board. He is doing his job as the mayor in every town, most of the towns that are under this form of government. The same is true. The mayor is required to be on the planning board. So hopefully I've answered some of those questions, comments on it's like a child. You're a bad boy, okay, versus you do something bad. There's a big difference between the two. To make characterizations, I don't know what your test is for all these names that you mentioned, categorizing the mayor. I don't know what your test is, but I don't know if you're an expert, but you're entitled to your opinion. I'm responding to the questions that were raised. You asked why we're here. You asked why the mayor was on the planning board, and I responded, and I'm not going to converse back and forth on it. At this point in time, we're going to move on to closing comments. Close the public session. Do I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll move on to council and professional comments. We'll start with Councilman Steve Hund.
Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Caruso, if you're going to have a conversation, go outside. You cannot just have public outbursts here. We're conducting, as I said, a legislative meeting. We want to get our business completed in order. Councilman Hund.
I want to thank everyone that came out tonight and expressed their opinions, even though some may not be agreed upon by everyone on this dais or in the audience. But thank you for coming out. It's excuse me while he finishes his rant out the door. So thank you again for coming up here and speaking your mind. I want to congratulate the emergency squad for being sworn in this past weekend. That's a tremendous honor. I know quite a few of them, so congratulations to that. Congratulations to Dennis Cisco for the fire department. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you, Councilman Hund. Councilman Minetti.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Two things I'm going to address. The first one is I want to congratulate also Dennis Cisco on becoming a member of the Clark Volunteer Fire Department. It's nice to see that we have people that want to volunteer within our town to protect our citizens. The second thing I will address is the planning board comment, because a member of the planning, as being a member of the planning board, I was at that meeting and listened to the whole presentation regarding the Starbucks on Central Avenue. And after all my concerns were addressed, the vote was to approve the Starbucks. But I do take it to offense that Mr. Caruso would say that we were enticed by the mayor. I think we all went up there with open minds and really had our agenda and concerns that were finally addressed. So I was taking offense with that. There's nobody that puts thoughts in my head. I think that it's very important that the citizens understand that we go there with the best interests of the citizens of this town. And that's all. That concludes my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Councilman Minetti. Councilman O'Connor.
Thank you very much. As I talked about in my report, I was on Sunday, I was at the installation of the new officers for the emergency squad. And I had an opportunity to speak to J.H. Barr, who is the president, about volunteerism. And this is true for the emergency squad. And, thankfully we had another person join the fire department. But throughout the state, there just seems to be a decline in the amount of volunteers into the communities. Obviously when people don't volunteer, programs fall apart, and who knows what happens. So first off and foremost, thank you very much for the people who do volunteer in this town. But secondly, if you do have free time, and I understand, volunteering takes commitment, it takes a long time, you may not have enough time to give, but go to these organizations, whether it's fire department, emergency squad, Little League, soccer, or whatever organization there is, find something within the town and let them know, hey, I'd like to help, but I only have a limited amount of time. What can I do to help? And any little help is appreciated. I mean, you came up tonight. You did your, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Nancy, you came up tonight. You said, hey, we did a fundraiser at the Unico, and I wanted to see what happens to the funds. Maybe you guys could have used an extra hand that night, right? If you have extra time, and again, people don't, people do. But if you do have time, just have the conversation with, hey, can I help? And when you don't have the time anymore, say, it's been great, thank you very much, but I don't have any more time. We're fortunate in this town. We have a lot of coaches, we have a lot of volunteers, and other towns don't. But I'm sure every organization within this town could probably use a little bit more. So again, for like the 5th time, I don't mean to beat on it, but if you have any time, just reach out to an organization to see if they need some help. Liz, do we have a list of organizations within this town? Volunteer organizations or no? Yeah, okay. So you might want to reach out to Ralph, reach out to Liz Klee. Just again, I grew up coaching. My dad coached me, I coached my kids. And, it's rewarding, but again, that's just me. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam President. Just again, a reminder, if you're interested in any of the rec programs for the winter, to please stop by the rec office and sign up as soon as possible before they get booked up and closed. Regarding the weather this week, it's going to be below freezing for the next 4 or 5 days, so please keep an eye out for your neighbors, especially if you have any elderly neighbors who may need some assistance. I know the walkways are very icy, so if you can help them out, please do. I actually received a text right before the meeting from my neighbor. My garage door was open for 25 minutes. My daughter left, forgot to close it, so I want to thank him for letting me know. And I have an app on the phone, and I was able to close the garage door. So that's what this town's about, looking out for each other. So that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Toll.
Thank you, Madam President. Same thing what just Bill said. Your neighbors, it's a community. The conditions are not good out there right now, icy conditions. If your neighbor needs an assist, maybe you're not able to do it, but maybe we can reach out and know somebody who can help or help them with shoveling and other issues that are going on, or shopping. I go to ShopRite 2 or 3 times a day. Sounds bizarre, but that's the way I live. I'm saying that maybe somebody needs something brought in. We work together as a community through good and bad, and we get things done. So if somebody's out there, you might know your neighbor needs assistance, we're here to help. Let's just remember, you know somebody, I know somebody, we can all just come to a solution of a problem. Thank you. Please be safe in this treacherous weather, and we get back into warmer temperatures. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Toll. Madam Clerk?
No comments, thank you.
Counselor?
No comment.
Okay, I just want to touch upon 2 items I see in my notes that I didn't cover that were raised as questions. Yes, we do have term limits. They're 4-year terms, and you can decide to endorse that person, vote for them, or not vote for them. As far as the time limits on speaking, we're kind of in a new age, and in the meetings that I attended at the League of Municipalities, which is basically a meeting of all attorneys on what happens in the decorum of meetings that are held in various towns. One of the topics that came up was how long are people permitted to speak? And in most towns, it's 3 minutes. And I didn't do a study on the 565 towns in the state of New Jersey, but I'm pretty certain there's not many that have 10 minutes permitted to speak. So most of them were three minutes. We have 5 minutes here in Clark. But as I said earlier, if you want to talk to us, you can talk to us anytime. If you have comments to make, you can come up and make the comments. There's time for that. So as far as volunteering, yeah, we have a lot of volunteers. As Councilman O'Connor said, coaching, I myself teach 2 to 3 nights a week, and sometimes on weekends. Coaching, martial arts at our recreation martial arts program. I invite everyone to join who's 8 and older. It's very worthwhile for your mental and physical state and for your soul and spirit. So, with that being said, I'd like to ask for a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connor. Thank you, Councilman Hunt. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.